Welcome to Ask the Expert, a daily series from 8:30 to 9 a.m. to help small businesses. Please do ask any questions in the comments below or use the hashtag QBATE on Twitter. If you need any more advice, please do join the official Intuit QuickBooks SME community group on Facebook, where accountants and business experts are on hand 24/7. Now today, during the live session, we will be running a poll, so please do engage with it and I will reveal the results at the end of this session. So thank you so much everyone joining me today. My name is Eriona. I'm the Managing Director of Majors Accounts. I am a qualified chartered certified accountant with the ACCA. In terms of a little bit of my background, I have a master's degree also in accounting and finance. I have another master's in international banking and finance in law, and I've recently completed a postgraduate diploma with the University of Oxford in strategic finance. My studies, I think safe to say, are now done. I am also a member of the QuickBooks Accountants Council and a member of ACCA's Practitioner Network Panel and SME Global Forum. So I've been working in practice now for 13 years or so, alongside my studies, which has really been great in ensuring that I enhance my studies backed with the experience from small practice, where you really get to see everything, how a business runs, the pain points, how they function, kind of ways to provide solutions to pain points, and helping businesses to grow or possibly become more profitable, whatever their goal is. So who are Majors Accounts? We are a small family-run practice based in Southeast London. We are providing support and servicing the SME space, so whether they're owner-managed businesses, self-employed or limited companies. And we have them in a wide range of industries, namely construction. The construction industry as a whole is a big one for us, but we've also got hospitality, financial services, IT, hairdressers, barbers, some nurseries, pubs, bars, restaurants. We have quite a few restaurants, and so on. So we've got quite a varied client base. And since becoming managing director of Majors Accounts, I've spearheaded and implemented a digitisation strategy within the firm with the idea of becoming a paperless office. And I think that was, that strategy came to play, shall we say, just in time before coronavirus hit. We are proud to say that we are a QuickBooks online practice only, so we hope we've become somewhat experts in this space. And now everything can be done online using an array of really amazing technology and apps, which all feed into QuickBooks to create an elevated experience, not just for our team who are using the cutting edge technology and being ahead of the game, but also for our clients too, because they now have the same access to the data and they can see what's going on with their business and what's happening at any point, whereas previously, they were basically in the dark. Now clients don't need to come to the office to see us, so there's a convenience there for them and for us, and a time saving for both parties, and it allows for our national and soon to be global reach. So we have clients from Ireland all the way down to the Isle of Wight, and the idea that we had with the strategy was to bring the client accountant relationship closer. And we are a family-run practice, so treating clients and our team like family is one of our core values, and we believe it really helps to build an excellent rapport with one another, and also gives a more personalised service, coupled with the expertise and experience that we've had from years of trading. And one of the main things that I think a lot of people misunderstand when you hear technology is being adopted massively, this will bring us closer. So we will be the virtual finance directors for our clients. Now we're getting rid of some of the mundane tasks, so we can actually focus on what do the figures mean, how can we help our clients and talk to them more than we've ever done before, find out how are they running their business, why are they running it in such a way, and which areas are there that we could possibly help out with. So that's the benefits that we're seeing with technology, and we've had great feedback from our clients. As I mentioned, we're speaking to them more than we've ever done before. So our efforts haven't gone unnoticed. We have been recognised by a few different bodies. So Majors Accounts were nominated for Independent Firm of the Year for Greater London for the last 2 years in a row. So top 6 there. I myself have been nominated for Top 50 Women in Accounting, and also nominated for 3 awards with the Women in Accounting and Finance Awards 2020, which was due to take place earlier this year. Unfortunately, it's gone virtual now, but that's this Friday, so keeping my fingers crossed. And we have also appeared in the Parliamentary Review for the year 2017-18 in the accounting and financial services sector for showcasing best practice within our industry. So there were 12 firms in the UK for that year. So I think something that is kind of prevalent at the moment in everybody's mind, coronavirus. We don't seem to know. Each day things are changing. We don't know whether we're coming or going, whether we're going into further lockdowns or actually easing them. So at the moment, there's a lot of talk of possible lockdowns in the coming weeks. I know that some areas of the UK are already under strict lockdown. Now, there have been a number of kind of schemes out there that the government has provided, but during this time, many businesses have had to close, and they've tried reopening, and now they're facing possible closure again, and no one really knows what's going to happen or how long this is going to last. And not many businesses have planned for this effectively. I mean, I don't know how you can plan for a global pandemic, but I guess moving forward, people will try and factor that in their business plans. But many businesses did not have adequate cash reserves to continue trading, and many don't know if they're going to have a business to come back to once this is all over. And obviously, the UK economy, as with economies all over the world, has been hit massively, and it has shrunk massively in the last few months. So during this time, businesses have had to think of ways of pivoting, and some have done this well in order to survive, and some are not really sure how they could do this. Now, during this time, there have been government reliefs available to try and help businesses to stay on their feet, as it were, maybe not making a profit, but try and stay active at least. So some of these are the self-employment grant, which was provided. The next one, which will be due very soon, is for the quarter ending 31st of August. And this is for all those affected by COVID on or before the 14th of July 2020, and this will give you 70% of your turnover to a maximum of £6,570 for the quarter in total. Now, this was an extension to the scheme, and as I mentioned, there is an extension to the scheme which will start on the 1st of November, which will be active for 6 months, and this will provide for 20% of trading profits. So there's a massive drop, with a total of 1,875 for the quarter, and then there will be a second grant from the 1st of February to the 30th of April. Something to make everybody aware of: HMRC has sent out recently, has been reported 24,000 letters to those that have claimed the grant and who they believe have claimed it when they shouldn't have. So if that is you and you're not sure, please do contact a professional just to confirm if you were supposed to claim it or not, because you've got some time to pay it back. If you don't pay it back within a certain time frame and they do investigate you, the penalties, they're saying, could be up to 100% of the value that you have claimed. So if you're able to double check, it could be a massive savings. I know that many people have made a genuine error. Not everyone has abused the system, but the rules were coming out on a daily basis and changing, and it was easy for people to make a mistake. So please do check that out. We've also got recently the job retention scheme. So obviously the furlough scheme that was before has changed. Now the job retention scheme is for those that have overclaimed as well on the previous coronavirus scheme. You've also got till the 20th of October to pay any money that you've overclaimed back. Otherwise, you could face penalties, and you must keep that information for 6 years. The job retention, so the Kickstart scheme, is £1,500 provided to employers to take on those who have been in unemployment, who are 16 to 24 years old in England, Scotland and Wales. And the government will pay the national minimum wage for the relevant age of the person you take on for 6 months, up to 25 hours a week. Obviously, if they work longer, you will have to top that up. The scheme has opened and the first jobs should be available in November. So once a placement starts of 6 months, once that person has finished, you can take another one on after that, but it has to be one at a time. So employers who are trying to take on such employees must show in their application that they're going to be supporting these employees to look for long-term work, including career advice and setting goals, support with CV and interview preparation, and supporting the participants with basic skills such as attendance, timekeeping, and teamwork. So there's an intrinsic value there. It's not just taking them on, you have to support them. The job support scheme that I mentioned earlier, this is quite a complicated scheme. It takes some time to understand it. So employees must work at least 33% of their usual hours in order to be claiming this scheme. The employee will be paid for those hours that they work. The employer, for the time that is not worked, will pay a third of the hours not worked, and the government will also pay another third of those hours not worked. However, the employer will have to pay the employer's NI and pensions contributions, and one of the things about this is that it is paid after, so in arrears. Businesses may struggle initially to find the finance to be able to pay their employees, especially if they're not trading or not trading as much, but that is paid afterwards by the government. There is also the job support scheme expansion, which is an extension on this scheme. So for those businesses who are forced to close, 60%, 67% of the employee's wage will be covered by the government, up to a maximum of £2,100 for the month. And again, employers' NI and pensions must be covered by the employer, and the employer is not forced to top up on this occasion. And this will be active for 6 months from the 1st of November. And again, payments are in arrears, and the eligibility criteria is that the employee must have been on the payroll on or before the 23rd of September. And this service is due to be opened in December, and also the employee must have been off for at least 7 consecutive days. Now, there is also the local restriction support grant. So for businesses that are being forced to close, at the moment, we know Liverpool is one of these, and they're discussing possibly Manchester and other parts of the country, which will fall into the very high alert kind of sector and will have to close. They will be receiving further grants from the government, which will be those with a rateable value of £15,000 or lower will get £1,334 for the month. Those with a rateable value of between 15 and 51 will be £2,000 a month, and anyone with a rateable value of over 51,000 will get £3,000 for the month. These will be paid every 2 weeks. And one question, or a few times I've been asked from clients is, can I get this? You can get this if you have a premises. Unfortunately, there are businesses that don't have a specific premises. They won't be eligible for this. And there are a couple of other kind of things to mention. MTD, which hit in 2019 for businesses that are VAT registered and were over the VAT threshold, so which meant they had to change the way that they were reporting their information to HMRC by using an MTD compliant software. HMRC are now pushing forward with our other areas of this, which they were planning to do, but obviously it was delayed because of coronavirus. But in 2022, all VAT registered businesses will be subject to MTD reporting. So whether they are over or under the threshold will be irrelevant. And 1 year later, in 2023, income tax will also be included for this for anyone earning over £10,000. Now, how will this work for income tax? It's going to be a huge change to the way that people are currently reporting their information. So there'll be quarterly submissions to HMRC, with one final submission replacing the tax return, and where any reliefs that need to be claimed will be claimed in this final submission. Now, I see the questions are coming in thick and fast, so I'm going to start taking these now. So we have a question from Brianna from Instagram, who says, "Hi Eriona, good to have you back on the show. I'm planning on setting up my own boutique agency. I'm also studying full-time. How did you manage a full-time and job and studies? Do you have any good advice?" There's no secret, unfortunately, to this. It's not easy. It is difficult. There are bumps in the road, but when you get to where you want to, it's so worth it. One of the things that I would have to say is it's all about mindset. If you are determined and you know where you want to get, and organize yourself in such a way that you kind of utilize all the hours that you have. I mean, I'd be doing some of my dissertations on the train home. It was literally every chance that I got, because I had a lot in my life. I don't know how much you've got going on as well, but I also had a family and working full time and studying. So any hour that you could get, you need it. It's difficult. There will be times where literally you want to give up, but don't. Be strong in yourself and say, I want to get there, and you will. And once you do, it'll be a huge satisfaction and relief, and it'll all be worth it in the end. We have a question from Zainab from Twitter, who says, "Hi Eriona, I've completed my first year as an accountant. What's your advice to build a good long-lasting relationship with my clients?" Okay, I think this is so important. In this day and age, clients and small businesses are not asking the same kind of questions from their accountants, or expecting the same service that they would have done, say 3-4 years ago. Even now, accountants need to be well-rounded, and one of the main things that I see is lack of communication with clients. You've got to change your mindset. You're not just a number cruncher. You need to change your role into being the business advisor for your clients. So yes, obviously the figures are important, but you need to be able to understand how you can translate those figures to the client, because there are accountants out there who, once they get a set of financial statements, it's difficult to read, let alone someone who has no training. So once you give them to them, say, this is what we found, these are areas that we could improve on, or ask questions. What are you doing in your business? Find out areas that you could possibly help. But in order to do that, you have to have that communication. And don't forget, you're all human beings. Treat them as human beings and not as a client. And that relationship will be so much better, and you will find out information that you would never have found out before if you hadn't asked those questions. And then therefore your advice will change according to their different situations. So I think that's one of the main things, is having good communication. Everything else should fall into place itself. We have a question now from Joshua from Instagram, who says, "Hi Eriona, good morning. It's been a bit confusing trying to make sense of all the new job support announcement. I run a car renovation and repair shop and employ 9 staff members. What would you advise should be my first steps? I'm planning to continue employing them with shorter hours." So Joshua, thank you for your question. I mean, in your situation, you would be able to get some support from the new job support scheme. So if you want to keep your employees on and keep trading, but on reduced hours, you can, you'd have to pay them for the hours that they're working, and for any hours of their usual hours that they're not working, that is where you will get support from the government. So you will unfortunately have to pay for a third of those hours not worked out of your own pocket, but the government will subsidize a further third of that. So the idea is that the employee should get up to 70% almost of their salary. So that should help to keep your employees on. So you've got, obviously, I'm sure you've got employees with experience, and you don't want to be losing those people that have been working with you. So this is one way of keeping them on, and at least they will get some money, and chances are they will get more money this way than if they were to go on universal credit anyway. And you get to keep keep on trading. And this can be shifted and changed as you go on. So they could work more or less hours, and the amount that you can claim from the government will change accordingly as well. So it's not a set, once you've agreed these hours, you can't change them. This can change as you go month to month. The only issue you may have is you'll have to come up with the money to pay them, and then the claims have to be done after. But I don't know if you claim things like the bounce back loan, which should hopefully support you in that. We have a question from Otis from Instagram, who says, "Morning, Eriona. I am a freelance consultant. I wanted to understand the eligibility for the SEISS scheme and what are the deadlines for applications." So at the moment, you can still apply for the second grant, but in order to do so, you have to be able to confirm that you were affected by coronavirus excuse me, on or before the 14th of July. So therefore your income has gone down drastically, and the money that you will be able to claim is generally based on your 18-19 tax return, or if you've done your 19-20, then you can take an average of up to the last 3 years also. Just make sure that you are able to confirm that you have been affected by coronavirus. Otherwise, what we're seeing right now is HMRC is turning back and investigating. And one of the good things is, even if you haven't claimed for any of the previous grants, you can still claim for the new ones. And there is an extension, obviously, from November for the next 6 months to this grant, but it will only, unfortunately, be 20% of trading profits, which is a huge drop compared to the other grants. So if you can get this second grant currently, which is 70%, please do try and do it as soon as possible. We have a question from Becca from Instagram, who says, "What advice are you giving to your clients and small business owners who might have to shut their stores due to local lockdown and restrictions? Are there any grants for businesses being forced to shut down due to local restrictions?" So for there are grants for those that are being shut down, and they range from £1,334 to £3,000 for the month, for however long that they have been made to close down. Unfortunately, for many businesses, that will not be enough to cover rent, so there will be difficulties there for them. If they're able to pivot and try and go online, it can be the barriers to entry for going online are not so large now, because you can use free apps like Facebook or Instagram to advertise and deliver for those that have stores. For those that have restaurants, we've kind of advised them they should, I believe they should be allowed to have takeaway, if not actually having people within their premises, so they could take advantage of that. So there'll be less staffing costs anyway, but they could still generate some income. And again, with this, for those with staff, there are the jobs support schemes available starting from November, but currently obviously we still have the coronavirus job support help from the government. So there are a couple. The support is not as great as it was possibly a few months ago, but we're hoping that the local lockdowns won't be as long as before either. So there are a combination of a few grants basically that they can take advantage of. We have a question from Merlin from Twitter, who says, "Is there any extension or respite for deferred VAT payments in the new announcements by the government?" So what the government has said is those that haven't paid their VAT for the 3 months in which the government allowed a few months ago to defer the VAT, they now have given the opportunity for those people to pay that in 12 monthly installments. So you've got another extension on that would have been paid by March. So that's given some relief, but in terms of the other VATs, unfortunately not. There are obviously more time to pay in other taxes, and a lot of the times what I am seeing is that if a business is unable to afford any kind of tax, it's a case of calling HMRC, letting them know, "This is my issue at the moment, I can afford X amount." It may be minimal compared to anything else, but if you set up a payment plan with them, then the penalties. You won't get any penalties. There may be some interest, but it won't be as high, and at least you have that agreement in place and they won't keep chasing you for it. We have a question now from Santiago from Instagram, who says, "Morning, Eriona. I'm a self-employed video artist and want to understand the extension of the SEISS scheme. Till when does the extension last, and what are the amounts one can claim under it?" So the extension starts in November and it will last for 6 months, and it will be largely similar to the previous grants, with a slight change that now you're only getting 20%, unfortunately, of the trading profits, whereas before you would have got 80 or 70%. I guess the thinking behind this is that the lockdown will be shorter, or for certain people it may not affect them as much, but you will have to kind of show that you have been affected by coronavirus during this time. But that's the only difference, that it will be a reduced amount that you will get. We have a question from Edgar now from Facebook, who says, "Hi Eriona, I have an indoor designing and home renovation business. In the last show you mentioned something about our industry. Could you please talk about the grants we can take advantage of? Have there been any changes in the recent announcements?" So I'm guessing that you're referring to the Green Homes grant. This is something that I've been pushing to many of my clients who are within the construction industry. So this is a grant that the government, I believe it's £2 billion that they've set aside for homeowners to take advantage of, and homeowners will get either £5,000 or £10,000 depending on their income levels from the government to renovate their property to make it more energy efficient. So the government are hoping that if people try and renovate, make their homes greener, obviously it'll help the environment, and homeowners will actually see reduced fees and expenses from electricity and heating and things like that of their homes. Now, in order to be able to get that scheme, you'll need to get yourself registered on a trust mark. So for example, the Master Builders, I think it's called, is one of them, but there are so many out there. There is a small fee to get you registered on there, but once you've done that, go through their forms, you can submit an application on the Gov website. You will find the website where this needs to actually be submitted. You'll get approved. Your name will be on the list of approved contractors to be able to do these works, and this is where homeowners will go and find companies or individuals to get the works done. Now, these works have to show that you're renovating your property in order to make it more energy efficient, whether it's changing the flooring, whether it's putting in extra insulation, changing roofing, changing a boiler that is more efficient. But there are so many different things that you can do. So please do go and see which areas you could possibly help out with and get yourself on that list. Now, this is not just temporary, although it's only for 6 months up and it lasts only until the 31st of March. This is great for you in long term, because you will be a trusted contractor and your exposure to further, more client base will be amazing, should make a huge difference to your business. So unfortunately, I've only got time for one last question. It's a question from Renee from Instagram, who says, "Hi, have any of your clients had some success in the recent months? As an owner of a small workshop, I would love to hear how other business owners are keeping their business alive and running." Yes, we've actually had some really amazing stories during this time of clients, even in the hospitality business, which you wouldn't expect. So we have some clients who have restaurants. During the Eat Out to Help Out scheme that was introduced by the government, helped massively. We've seen their income tripled from the previous month. And this is a restaurant, and they had to close by 10 p.m. as well. And what they've done is that they've kept this scheme from now on, some have changed days or times that they're providing such discounts to their customers, but they found that it's actually bringing in customers way more than they had before during times where they were quieter. So it's a case of pivoting and seeing which schemes could you keep on in the long term, not just short term. I hope that's helped. Unfortunately, I can't take any further questions. Time has passed so quickly, but we do have the poll results for today's poll. And we asked you, have you prepared your business for the next 6 months? Now, the last time I did this, 9% said yes and 90% said no. 91%, sorry, said no. This time we've got 33% saying yes and 67% no. Unfortunately, even though we're still, 67% is a massive chunk that are saying that they haven't prepared themselves, but it looks like there is improvement and people are starting to look at how they can change their business to make sure that it can trade in these weird times. But I think one of the key things is use this time, if you're not trading as much, have a look at your business, speak to an advisor, your accountant. They may be able to help at ways of finding efficiencies and changes to your business that you can implement in the long term. So no matter what happens, whether we lock down further or whether we go back to normal, you still will be able to pivot and carry on trading and possibly find new service lines. But I think it's important for you to speak to your business advisors or accountants, because you never know, they could help massively and kind of provide insight that you may not see yourself. I think having a second or third opinion is so important. So thank you so much for listening to me. If you have any questions, please do get in touch with the QuickBooks support team or myself. You can contact me at eriona@majorsaccounts.com, or we're on all social media platforms. So we're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook and LinkedIn at Majors Accounts, on all of those, or on our website under the news section. We are updating that as and when new information comes out. So please do keep an eye on that. It's super relevant information. Or you can download our app under the services section, which also has great information as it's released, and it gives you a notification so you won't miss it either. Coming up now on Ask the Expert tomorrow is Tom Exton. Tom works full-time as an investment banker in London, but also runs an internationally known and respected fitness brand called LDNM. He'll be talking to you about how you can run several companies alongside a day job, which is not easy to do. So please do listen, and this should be exciting for all of you entrepreneurs out there. A reminder that if you do need any more advice, please do join the official Intuit QuickBooks SMB community group on Facebook, where accountants and business experts are on hand 24/7. I've really enjoyed answering your questions today. I hope that they have helped you, and have an amazing day.